Welcome to my channel, Learn or Not.
Although it's not highly recommended, you can actually view and edit the Visual Basic that has been created for your macro really quite easily. However, if you edit it and it doesn't work, you'll then need to have it fixed by a programmer or re-record the macro. If we take the type my name file, this contains a very simple macro that types my name in A1. And we can see that happen by going to the macros, type my name, and it types my name in A1. Now it always types it in A1, it's not a relative thing, so I would have to start a new sheet. Even if I click over here and rerun that macro, it always puts my name in A1. Now if I want to edit this macro, I can go to the macros list, choose the macro, and there is an option for edit. Now bear in mind that if your macro is on the personal macro workbook, as these four are, you will not be able to edit them whilst that book is hidden. So you'd need to go through the process of unhiding it, as we did earlier when we needed to delete a macro. So you would unhide it and then you'd be able to edit it. For the moment, however, we're interested in editing type my name. So we go into edit and we can see the code. This is the macro type my name. It's called a subroutine. And at the end of it, it says end sub, and everything in between are the commands for Excel to carry out. Now these lines with little apostrophes at the front are commented lines, so they show in green and they're not part of the commands, they're just comments. So type my name macro, this will type my name was the description that I put. And I could add further comments, edited on today by Guy. And you'll see when I leave that line, because of the single apostrophe at the front, it is commented out and is not part of the code. Now anything in speech marks like Guy Vaccaro here and the font, we can edit really quite easily without any problems of breaking the macro. So I could change that to actually type my full name as opposed to just Guy Vaccaro. And we could change the typeface from Calibri to Arial. Perhaps even change the size, 12 to 14. So anything you can see that is logical and straightforward, you could change. The shadow is false. Let's change that to true. Underline has an Excel format there, so that isn't worth editing, otherwise we will run into issues. Theme color, tint shade, theme font, and then this is the entire column gets auto fit, and then it goes to A2. So you can see it goes to A1, puts my name in, selects A1, does all this bold font, etc., and then goes to auto fit column A, and then goes into A2. Now, having made changes to this, I don't need to actually save the changes. I can just close the VBA Editor. I'm taken back to Excel, start a new sheet, and rerun type my name. And you can see it then types in my full name, so not just Guy Vaccaro. And if I check the home ribbon, I can see that it hasn't responded with the font for some reason, but it has done the font size, possibly because Arial is not a font in here. There it is. Maybe I've spelt it wrong. So it's done most of the things, but it hasn't done the font. So it's done the size, it's done the extra text. Let's go back to the macro and edit. And let's change the bold to false so that it doesn't embolden. Again, we just close, new sheet, macros, type my name, run. So we can see that it's not emboldened, so on home it's not got B, but it's still doing Calibri. It's effectively ignoring that Arial control. The reason for that, if we go back into the macro and edit, is this line here, the theme font. It's actually using the theme to set the font rather than listening to the instruction here. So let's comment out that line. Now this can be a little bit dangerous because you don't know what knock-on effect that's going to have. So I put a little single apostrophe and then click away and that line goes green, indicating that it will be ignored. So again, I close the editor. Let's have a new sheet and run. And this time we see that it is going to Arial size 14 because it's ignoring the theme font. The last little edit I would like to make is to stop it from always going into A1 and to actually type my name wherever I am. So we go back to the macro and edit. Now the single line that is causing it to put it in A1 is this here, range A1.select. Little single apostrophe that. So it doesn't then select A1, it goes to the next line command, which is the active cell. So wherever I happen to be, it will then type my name. However, it will then go and format range A1. So we're going to comment out that line as well, and then copy and paste it, and change range A1 to ActiveCell.select. And let's see if that works. We are living a little dangerously, making so many edits. So we select a cell over here and type my name. And you can see that it does type your name and it does format it A14, but what it doesn't do is it doesn't auto-fit. And if we go back, now the reason that it doesn't auto-fit the current column is because of this line here that is telling it to select column A and auto-fit that column. Now we don't want that to happen, so let's comment out that line, then take a copy of it. The reason I'm commenting is it keeps it there so we can use it again, and we replace columns AA with active cell. It will take the active cell, the entire column, and auto-fit it. It's also jumping to A2, which was great when we were working on A1, it just moves down. But we don't want it to jump to A2. Comment that line out there. And again, let's copy that to make the change. And we'll tell it to select the active cell. So we're staying where we are, and we select the cell that we're in. So we're not jumping back to A2, because we could be miles down the spreadsheet. We could be in P3500, and it's going to jump to A2. Now it's not. Now it's going to select the current cell. So now we're taking the cell that we're in, the active cell, we're typing my full name, we're then selecting that active cell and carrying out a variety of formatting. We're then auto-fitting the column that the active cell is in, and then we're selecting the active cell. So everything is relative to where you are when you start the macro. So let's see how that works. So we'll select a cell over here, so we can see then if the column widening works. Macros, type my name, and hey, as if by magic, we are now relative and not absolute. Now, I wouldn't recommend that you go editing any macros to that kind of degree, but you can see that it is fairly easy to do and trial and error things. If, however, you do something that doesn't work and the macro crashes, you can simply undo what you've done and then revert back to where you were and carry on.